and I have filed, I will be running for president of the United States of America. Let's change the course. Right now, Joe Biden is down 24 points in the economy, 19 points on jobs when he actually did better on jobs than Trump did. He is not going to win. I am running. Yes, I am a break glass in case of emergency candidate.
I believe that I am going. If I were the benevolent dictator of the world, I would legalize bestiality where you are giving, where you are pleasuring the animal. You see what I'm saying? Okay.
Okay, this is bullshit. Okay, hold on. We're against Saudi Arabia, you dumbass. We talk about that all the time. Oh, really? We talk about that all the time. You don't know shit. What do you think, the lizard people are in charge?
Dear gosh. Okay, folks. Well, as I'm sure you're all familiar with, there is obviously a lot of bad news and tragedy happening around the world right now. And as much as I don't want to make light of it, I do think it is sometimes healthy for the mind and soul to take a break from that and have a little bit of a laugh, right? Lighten everyone's depressed moods. And there is nothing better on this planet to laugh at than a clown. And thankfully, one of the biggest clowns on the entire internet himself, Cenk Uygur.
I would legalize bestiality.
Of course, if you don't know who Cenk Uygur is, he is the owner of the Young Turks. That is a far-left progressive news outlet. Long story short, he's a progressive commentator who talks like this and endorsed Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden both times, despite claiming that in both Democrat primaries, it was rigged against Bernie Sanders because he has no principles. That guy.
I would legalize bestiality.
Cenk Uygur has announced that he is running for president in a primary bid against Joe Biden, folks, okay? Like, you literally cannot make this stuff up. No, this is not a Babylon Bee article. This is real. Cenk Uygur is running for president, okay, off the central premise that essentially Joe Biden is not progressive enough, blah, blah, blah. He's not visionary enough. This is why we need a true progressive like Cenk Uygur. That is basically the platform that Cenk is going to run on in this race. Now, let me say this. On one hand, I absolutely welcome this because I think chaos in the Democrat field is a good thing, right? To me, as a conservative, anything that basically destabilizes Joe Biden, anything that undermines his credibility, even if he ends up winning the primary, right? If you have a divided primary, it still is going to hurt him, especially as the incumbent. As much as that's a good thing, the sad reality is that, again, chaos is a good thing, but Cenk Uygur is such a clown and such an incompetent buffoon as a candidate that there is absolutely no chance that Joe Biden even feels threatened slightly in this race, right? Cenk Uygur is going to just get absolutely decimated and clowned by Joe Biden, and, you know, I think we'll just have to sit here and watch it. Now, you may say, Vince, what makes you say that? What makes you say he has no chance of even making a dent in this presidential race? Well, there's a variety of reasons. But first and foremost, folks, is I think pretty important to point out that Cenk Uygur is literally not eligible to be the president, okay? You can't make this up. Cenk Uygur, as I'm sure many of you are familiar with, according to the U.S. Constitution, you need to be a natural-born U.S. citizen, and I think there's one other stipulation, but long story short, with your parents, right? But you more or less, right, have to be a natural-born citizen to be the president of the United States. Cenk Uygur, of course, is an immigrant. Okay, he's not a natural-born U.S. citizen, so he's literally not even eligible to be the president, okay? But he's running for president, of course, because he's that much of a clown. And he's out here coping about this, claiming that actually under recent court precedent and all this stuff, it is possible, okay? So he tweeted this out today in response to all the people saying, hey, dingus, you're not eligible to run for president. He says, case law is clear. Naturalized citizens can run for president. president. And he goes on to point out this case, Schneider, right? Schneider is clear that treating natural born citizens and naturalized citizens differently is contrary to the Fifth Amendment, of course. Again, folks, it's a different thing when the Constitution explicitly says, hey, natural born citizens are the only people eligible to be president. But, he points out this court case, and then very hilariously, the fact checkers came for him. Okay. The Twitter fact checkers, the Twitter community notes here point out, right, that Schneider v. Rusk, which is the court case he claims is allowing him to run for president, has not been recognized or upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court or any other authoritative legal body in the context of naturalized citizens running for president. Okay, so, again, first and foremost, the reason why Cenk Uygur is a clown who's not going to go anywhere in this race is because people are going to pretty obviously point out, dude, he's not even eligible to be president. But before we continue this discussion, let's talk about the future. Folks, with all of the instability in both America and obviously the world right now, it has never been a better time to seek out stability, certainty, and security, especially with your finances. And on the financial front, there is no better way to do that than investing your money in hard, physical, stable, secure assets. And the best way to invest on that front is to invest in gold, silver, and your precious metals. And our friends today over at Noble Gold can help you do that. And of course, investing in precious metals may sound scary, but our friends at Noble Gold have a proven A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and have countless 5-star reviews. And of course, they are here to help walk you through all of the first steps to invest in gold. Whether you want to transfer an existing IRA into physical gold or simply want to buy a couple hundred or a couple $1,000s worth of gold just to have as a rainy day fund, our friends either way at Noble Gold have all the options and can walk you through all the best ways to invest in physical gold and silver. They only deal with the physical, okay? Which is, of course, a good thing in times like these. So be sure to go check them out at thevincedao.gold.com. Again, that is thevincedao.gold.com. Or if you want to talk to them directly, give them a call at 877-646-5347. Of course, kind of unfortunate because a lot of Cenk supporters who actually like him and want him to be president are going to be donating to the presidential campaign of a guy who is literally not eligible to be the president. So the whole thing is just hilarious. But, then again, they are supporters of Cenk Uygur. So maybe, they get what they deserve and get what they donate for. But of course, that's only reason number one why Cenk Uygur is not going to go anywhere in this race, because he is literally legally not eligible to be the president. But getting more here into, I guess, a greater electoral discussion, right? Why do I say that Cenk Uygur is such a clown? Why do I say that he has, no chance of any of this? Because, of course, some folks out there may say, well, he has pretty powerful numbers on the internet. You see how he does. Young Turks is a pretty big progressive outlet. What makes you think he absolutely won't even make a dent in the race at all? Well, of course, there's the very fundamental reason here that the internet is not real life, right? And the reality is that I think outside of the people here on YouTube, not a lot of real Democrats, A, even know who Cenk Uygur is, and B, even find him to be an appealing candidate. And I actually have pretty concrete evidence of that, because some of you may have forgotten this, right? Cenk Uygur ran for Congress in 2020, right? He tried to run for Congress in California in his own district. By the way, that district is very close to me. I live about 20 minutes from the border of that district. So this is Southern California. So he tried to run for the open seat there. And long story short, again, California, where he lives, right? He's literally from this part of the country. He lives in this district. He got 6.5% of the vote.
I would legalize bestiality.
The guy is not a good candidate. He's inept at running for office, and I would not expect this to go any differently. In fact, I think the over-under, if we're setting Las Vegas odds here on the Cenk Uygur primary, is about 1%. Okay, 1%. So it's Cenk -1. Okay, everyone bet, is he going to get more than one? Oh, -1, right? I think that's about how this goes. Okay, so again, we've established not eligible to be president, also just overall not a very good candidate. Okay. Last reason, though, and I think the most important reason here why Cenk is delusional, why Cenk really just does not stand a chance to even make a dent here, is because he's completely wrong about the popularity of progressivism, right? Cenk Uygur very often goes out there and says, hey, progressivism is actually popular, blah, 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 this and that. He's just totally wrong, right? And I think their biggest reason why, not only him, but if Bernie Sanders at 90,000 years old tried to enter in this race, or some other progressive does not really stand a chance against Biden, is because within the Democratic primary, progressives and progressivism, right, that wing of the party is far less popular now than it used to be. And let's kind of do an eye test in terms of thinking about that, right? When's the last time you heard substantially about the squad, about AOC, Ilhan Omar, about any of those people for an extended period of time? Yeah, here and there you see a tweet about them, but remember how in 2018 to about 2020, they were the talk of the town, right? They were kind of the focal point of a lot of politics. Now they seem to have faded from relevance. Bernie Sanders obviously had two very competitive presidential primary runs. Now he's basically a forgotten footnote, right? I think it's very apparent that especially the past few years, the popularity of the progressives within the within the Democrat primary has greatly dwindled. And that's not to say that there are not still progressives or progressive ideas, but it is to say that the kind of mainstream establishment Democrats here seem to have a machine going and seem to be pretty reliably destroying progressives in every single recent primary that you've seen. Okay. And you've seen this a million times because Cenk Uygur several times the past few years has gone on to the Young Turks live stream of a random Democrat primary and said, it's rigged, rah, 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 Nina Turner, right? The same exact thing there. So this is, of course, all to say that I think when you look at that, when you look also at the fact that in big major Democrat cities like Los Angeles, New York, a lot of these places, more quote unquote moderate Democrats are becoming more popular. And of course, I don't mean that in a direct kind of line sense, but it is important to point out, right? Eric Adams, who obviously is a terrible mayor and still basically just as liberal as the alternative. But remember, Eric Adams actually won the mayorship in New York as a Democrat by saying he was going to be tough on crime and pro-police and actually clean up the city. Of course, he didn't do any of those things, but it is worth noting that in the past few years, especially in major Democrat urban areas, more establishment, quote unquote, moderate Democrats have become more popular. Same thing with Karen Bass in LA. She actually campaigned in Los Angeles on cleaning up the homelessness and managed to, win that election based on that. So this is all to say that the environment for Cenk Uygur, I don't see it. It just simply is not there. And even in terms of the far left vote, right? The hard left stuff that think Joe Biden is not left wing enough or think Joe Biden is a secret conservative, whatever. It's also important to point out, right, that who else is in this election? Is Cornel West, right? Cornel West is the basically straight up, I mean, he's basically a communist. I think he calls himself a Democrat socialist, but he's basically a more or less communist guy. And I think it's also important to point out, again, he is a factor in this race. And of course, not all of the hard leftists are big fans of Cenk Uygur. That's another thing to remember, because there's a lot of Democrats, of course, who not Democrats, but a lot of progressives and left wingers, like hard leftists, who accuse Cenk Uygur of being establishment progressivism, right? They say, oh, he's establishment. He's not a real leftist, blah, 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 this and that. So that's why his niche is very cornered, because he's not going to get the hardcore Joe Biden Democrats because they view him as progressive, but he's also not going to get the hard left communists because they like Cornel West more and view Cenk Uygur as something of like controlled opposition. So this is all to say he's a clown. We will laugh at the clown show. I certainly do hope he makes waves, because imagine the brilliance of content of seeing Cenk Uygur go out there and campaign for president. It's going to be the funniest thing ever, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And of course, I'm sure when he inevitably gets 1%, okay, he's going to get 1% of the vote, he will of course claim that it is rigged and it's the fault of big corporations or something, that, the reason why he got destroyed in the Democrat primary and lost the Supreme Court case that he's obviously going to try to file here. But anyways, with that said, folks, let me know what you think of the Cenk Uygur announcement for presidency in the comment section down below. Do you agree that he's as much of a clown as I think? And of course, be sure to check out our friends over at Noble Gold, because again, folks, it's never been a better time to invest in gold and silver. So be sure to go check them out at thevincedao.com or dial the number down in the comment section and description if you want to call them directly. All right, with that said, Alpha Moves only. Like and subscribe. Have a very good day. God bless and peace.